Hello, welcome back. Fred in the Shed 2. Now this is going to be just a chatty video. For those of you that are subscribed to the channel, thank you very much. And you've come across these before, the all-nighters, the worst eyeball ever. Yeah, it really was as well. And yeah, the ones that I've talked about early CB. It's just me having a little chat here, just in the shack this afternoon with the radio. There's not much going on FM, so I just got a little bit of Continentals coming in. And I just thinking back to CB as it was. When I first came on, I was only a kid. I came on at, I think, my 16th birthday, I got a radio. Came on just as a kid. And it all just didn't last very long, did it? CB in the UK, it was sort of here and gone pretty much within a year, 18 months. And then it all got a bit silly with... We've talked about this before, but oh god, you know, kids keying over you, bleeping over you, playing music, it went to poo, it really did. But there was one thing I just remembered. I was sitting here thinking, and I thought, oh, I forgot about this. And that was the CB police, these group of guys that I want to tell you about this afternoon. That sort of were around only for about sort of 3 or 4 months, but they sort of put the fear of God into young teenage boys like we were. We were really scared of these guys. It sounds crazy now, but I was going to tell you the story of the CB police. So please get yourself a coffee, a tea, a beer, a scotch, a cigarette, an e-cigarette, whatever's your poison. You know, just chill back. I will put a few pictures up on the screen, otherwise it's totally boring. It'll just bore the arse off you. But I hope just put your headphones on, sit back. This is going to be quite a long one, they all are, and there's no time restriction. I'll just waffle on and just sit back and enjoy it as I reminisce about the early days of CB. And if you weren't around, well, it'd be interesting, I think, for you to realise what went on. And perhaps if you were around, something happened. So things like this probably happened around your neck of the woods. You might be able to remember this. So anyway, let's get on with it. Let me have a little chat to you about the CB police. It all started at an eyeball, which I didn't go to because I think I had a radio, but I hadn't really got the confidence up to go to an eyeball yet and see all the girls and everything. But that's what the eyeballs were definitely about, as I've said before, and I was quite honest about it. Getting on the CB, it was just about meeting girls at that age, 15, 16, you know, it's just an easy way to meet girls. And there was this eyeball that went on, and there was a couple of these girls turned up, this one girl in particular, and she had a lot of heavy black makeup and black hair, and was dressed sort of rather gothically. I suppose you'd call her, nowadays, you'd call her a goth. I don't think goths were around in those days. I think you had punks and sort of new wave and all that. But anyway, she looked a little bit different. And some of the guys decided to pick on her a little bit and take the mickey out of her and say some inappropriate comments. And I can't remember what they said because I wasn't there. But basically, they took the piss out of her, which wasn't particularly nice to do. And some of these other guys, 17, 18-year-old guys, they sort of took offence at that, and they went over and had a word with these slightly younger guys and said, look, you know, you're out of order, mate, just you leave it out, you know, blah 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 blah. Otherwise, you know, you leave her alone, otherwise, you know, we'll give you a slap. And these guys kind of were a little bit offish about that. They sort of that kind of brushed their ego up, but they did back off and they left this girl alone. However, this girl was on CB. It wasn't someone that I sort of spoke to myself, but she was on CB radio, and of course it then carried on CB. These guys found out what channels and she was on, and they started all of the abuse, if you like, mickey taking abuse, and she didn't like it. So she went back to these guys that had stood up to her at the eyeball and sort of told them about it, and they got together. There was about, I think, 6 of them, and they got together, found out where this one guy in particular, who was particularly nasty to her, found out where he sort of lived, went round there, knocked on his door, and basically gave him a talking to. I don't think it was especially violent. They didn't beat him up, I don't think, but it just basically gave him a talking to. It's on, you know, it's like, you know, back off what you're saying about that bird, otherwise we're going to come round and we're going to give you a slap. And people got to hear about this on air, because by this stage I was on air, and these guys became known as the CB police, and I think they quite liked this thing that they've been called. And you kind of got the impression that they thought they was like some vigilante group, a bit like the the Guardian Angels that you had at the time in America on the subways and things like that. And I think, yeah, they kind of liked it, that it gave them a little bit of fame, if you like, and they'd done the right thing. They'd sort of stood up for this girl, and they'd done the right thing. So what used to happen was that, as I say, when we first went on CB, we took it very seriously, and it was only kids, but we didn't swear on air. We had licenses and stuff, and yeah, we really sort of enjoyed radio for what it was, long before it all started going a little bit to pants. But we really sort of respected the fact, and we were not, you know, generally we did fall out with people, but we never took it too far. Well, if you had an argument between us, normally a couple of lads, and it normally was, if you had an argument and it started to get a little bit out of hand, and you know, the swearing started, you know, oh yeah, well, you know what, you're effing this and you're effing that, well really, yeah, well, I think you're this, and you can F off, and all. If it started getting a little bit out of hand, suddenly one of these guys would come on the side and says, and be like, You're being listened to by the CB police, so wash your mouth out with soap, son, because you're just like talking a load of baloney and you're swearing on air, and we won't put up with it. If you carry on, we're going to come round and we'll give you a slap. That's what it was like, but it worked. Suddenly it was like, you'd be like, Oh, okay, yeah, well, no offence, I won't try to cause offence, so, okay, Tony, all right, well, we'll carry this on off the air then, you know, perhaps your football team, might be a bit better than mine, oh, okay, and it worked. These guys had this influence, you know, everyone was like, oh, God, I don't want these guys coming around and give me a slap, and it worked. And then in another instance, there was this really annoying kid, and this is probably... He put a year younger than us. He must have been about 14, and he was just, I don't know, I don't think he had special needs or anything, but he just was very kind of impatient, and he was very needy, I would say, maybe because he was just a bit immature. So he was one of the people that would start keying over people, and he's, especially if he had a bleep, it was like bleep 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 bleep, he would start keying over people. Yeah, he was a pain, and we sort of put up with him, but anyway, someone complained to the CB police, and next thing we know, this kid was off the air, and of course it all went round that the CB police, they hadn't come round and paid him a visit because he was obviously only a young kid, but he had which would be a silver rod, or in those days a GPA, and he had that up on a pole in his back garden, and with the coax running to his upstairs bedroom window. And anyway, they'd gone round there with a set of tree pruners and just snipped his coax, as it just cut his coax. They must have climbed over his back gate, I suppose, so his parents probably weren't very happy about that. But yeah, they cut his coax, and that was it. He was off the air, and he did come back. But for quite a while after that, until he got an amplifier and he went a bit crazy. But it was completely different. It scared him. It really scared him. So again, these guys had this reputation, and they sort of quite useful for sorting things out. And I never thought that I'd ever have any running with these people, because I'm a nice bloke and still am. And I don't try and cause trouble. I can't see the point of it. Can't be arsed with that. However, it did go a little bit wrong for me, and the reason it happened wasn't really my fault, not really. So anyway, I was on CB radio. I'd been on, I guess about 6 months, and yeah, I was enjoying it. It was very, very busy, as we said before. When we come home from school at like 4 o'clock, we owned it. We owned CB up until about 6:30, and then later on in the evening, the grown-ups, if you like, the grown-ups would come on, and yeah, they wouldn't really talk to us kids, so we had it in the afternoons. Anyway, I had my mates from school, and to be honest, none of them were really into CB. I had 1 or 2 mates that I knew outside school, and they came on the air for a little bit. It didn't last, but my regular mates who I went to school with, they weren't into CB. They just, I don't know, they just couldn't see the point. They couldn't see, like me, the potential to pick up girls and chat to girls. They weren't interested in it. I don't know. Perhaps they were gay. I honestly don't know. I don't know, they weren't. But they just weren't interested. But what we were interested, we was into music. We were just getting into music. We had Saturday jobs, we had pocket money, and we could just about afford to go down to Woolworths and buy one album a month, which were about £5 at the time. So we couldn't buy all the music that we wanted. So what we used to do was we used to do home taping, which they kept telling us was going to kill the music industry, but we didn't give a monkeys. We had cassette players, and we did home taping. So what we used to do was you would hear that your mate has got the latest Visage album or something, or Human League album, whatever. And you'd go around there and you'd arrange a swap. I might have an Ultravox album which he hasn't got, and so he would lend me his latest LP, 12-inch long player record, and I'd swap him over with what I've got, and then you take it home, listen to it, and you generally tape it. So you would build up your own record collection. Just hope that, you know, he didn't scratch your record, and you definitely try not to scratch his record, otherwise you'd end up buying it. So that's what we used to do. So anyway, as it happened, these guys, they all came around my house and we all met up, and I had the CB by them. But it's just like typical. It's like when I try and make a video, if I try and do FM on, I set the video camera up and there's never anyone on FM. I mean, I could have a look now if you want, really. I'll go FM channel 19 and there's probably no one on. There you go, no one on. So this is what happened, and every time my mates tend to come round, there was never anyone on CB, but they used to come round sort of in the evenings when the older people were on. But I really wanted them to kind of get on the radio. I just thought we could have a nice little group on there, but it never really happened. But what there was on CB was this older woman who occasionally came on, and unfortunately she liked to drink, and she used to come on CB, and to be honest, she was pissed. But she was kind of interesting to listen to, because as we did with the all-nighters, we kind of like, you did a lot of earwigging in those days, and you used to sit on the side, and I felt a bit sorry for her, because she was obviously she was in a sort of a slightly abusive relationship, and she wasn't very happy, and when she had a sort of a few drinks, it would kind of all come out, if you like. You know, she would chat to another sort of woman on there, and they'd all sit there chatting, and you'd sort of listen to it. You know, it was sort of, I don't know, it's like soap opera, isn't it, I guess. Anyway, there was this particular time, my mates come round, we were all talking about music, we were swapping records and stuff, and I flicked on the CB, and she was on. She was a little bit distant to me, but you could hear what she was saying, and oh god, she was completely like smashed. She was out of her skull, and yeah, she was banging. She was sort of going on to someone else. I think it was another woman. I couldn't really pick up the second station because my setup was crap. But yeah, she was going on and on about, oh, men are this, so men are all bastards, men are all this, men just want one thing, blah 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 blah. And it was sort of, my mates were like, who's this? And I said, oh, I think it's Daisy or something. I said, oh, like, she, you know, don't you can listen to her, but you know, don't get involved. She's had a few, you know. And they were sort of quite fascinated by it, I suppose. And so I wanted to kind of show the radio off, so I sort of turned it up and had it on in the background. They were sort of sitting there, and of course they found it, we were 15, 16, they thought it was like really funny, the way she was swearing and going on and stuff. Anyway, there come a point when I said, right, okay, do you want a cup of tea or coffee? Yeah, I know, it's bad. Yeah, no, we didn't have alcohol or anything like Jack Daniels or sort of something. It was like, oh, do you want a cup of tea or coffee? We're so civilised. And they were like, yeah, okay, yeah, a cup of coffee. So I went downstairs to put the kettle on in my mum and dad's house and make them a cup of coffee. Anyway, as I was sort of coming back, it probably took me a few minutes, probably 5-10 minutes, whatever. As I was I could hear them like laughing, cracking up and laughing as I was like, oh, okay, they're having a pretty good time. Anyway, when I came into the room, they'd got hold of the bloody microphone on the CB, and they were like giving this Daisy some real abuse. They were like sort of really shouting, oh yeah, I won't say what they were saying, but because she was obviously slagging off men, and I was like, oh shit, and I sort of came in and I was like, oh guys, like, I sort of took the microphone away, and she was really having to go back at him. She was sort of like, how can you dare say that about me? You don't know me, you don't know what I've gone through. Oh, you men are all the same, you're all bastards. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. So they thought it was hilarious, right? But I was a bit embarrassed, and I thought, I know no one knew sort of where you were, and then I made a mistake, and I should have left it and just maybe switched the radio off, but I made a mistake because I felt a little bit bad. So I tried to sort of pacify the situation. So I got hold of the mic and I went on and said, look, I dated, I'm really, really sorry, didn't mean anything by it, just, a couple of my mates having a bit of a laugh, hi Jinx and that, I didn't mean to offend you, like, really, really sorry if we did, we'll leave it at that. Well, it didn't work, it didn't work. He was like, you can't apologise to me. How dare you come on and try and belittle me? Do you think you're better than me, do you? Oh, God, she just went on. The drink was talking. So I thought, right, okay, we'll just leave that situation alone. So I was just going to sort of switch the radio off. I mean, my mates thought it was hysterical that she came back and ripped me a new bumhole. Anyway, just about to switch it off. And then on the side came this sort of voice, right, this is the CB police. Right, we know you, we know that's you, Fred. We know where you live, so we're going to come round and pay you a visit now. You've been right disrespectful to that lady. We ain't having it, mate. We ain't having it. We're going to come round and we're going to pay you a visit. So we suggest you outside your house in about 10 minutes because the police are going to be there. Oh, jeez, what? And I was like, oh crap, and I sort of keyed up. No, there's no need to run, come round, lads. No, it's all right, we'll sort it out. Just me mates having hijinks, and they were like, no, we'll be round there in 10 minutes. So you better be outside, or we'll be knocking on your bloody door. If you don't want us to upset your parents, you better be outside your house. Oh Jesus, can you imagine? So the last thing I wanted was my parents upset because they didn't really like me having a CB anyway, and I thought, oh God, they're going to sort of ban the radio or whatnot. So suddenly we was all very quiet, weren't we? All my mates are suddenly they'd lost their sort of voice, and I was like, "Come on, lads, we're gonna have to go outside, and hopefully they won't turn up." So anyway, to be fair, they didn't run away. They came out with me. So we kind of went down the stairs from my bedroom, and I couldn't feel my legs because I was only a kid, and I was crapping myself. And my mates all looked a little bit sick as well because they were just kids. Anyway, we went outside and we sort of stood outside and we hoped that they were just mucking around, they wouldn't turn up. But oh God, sure enough, about 5 minutes later, these two cars come screeching round the corner, and it's a bit pathetic when I think about it now, because one of them was a Mark 1 Fiesta, which I know was the boys' mums, and the other one was a Mini, like a Mini City, and I think it was his nan's. And they thought they were really hard, and they come flying around the corner, screeched up in these cars, the best kind of handbrake skid they could do, got out these cars, and they were just a bunch of Herberts. They were a bunch of bloody sort of ruffians, if you like, half punks, I don't know what they were, but they were older than us. They were 3 years older than us, so for us they were like, oh, the big boys are here. So anyway, they come sort of piling out on this sort of out of their cars, and we were like, oh God, it's going to go off, here we go. But my mates didn't run, which was a good thing. So they came out, so I thought I'd better do some sort of talking. But there was I noticed there was one girl with them, and I thought, well, that hopefully might help the situation, and it did. Having a girl there, which I'll explain in a second, did help the situation. So oh God, anyway, there they are, right? So there they are. So we don't think it's right you talking to Daisy like that, we think you're well out of order. And I'm like, well, I'm really said I was sorry, it wasn't me, it was, and who was it? They come on in, who was it? Who's the mouth out of you? Who's the trout mouth? And my mate said, well, yeah, actually it was me. Oh, it was you, was it? You were giving her a load of stick. Well, you think you're a big man, do you? And he was like, no, he's a little kid, and he's not a squeaky voice. No, I don't. And he's like, well, You want to have a go at me, do you? You want to call me all those names? Come on in. And he was like, oh, no, I didn't. And I was like, oh, it's going to go off. Anyway, he pushed him, this kid, he pushed my mate over, and he went flying back. He's on the grass. I mean, it's nothing worse than what we'd have having a bundle when we was at school. And I was just, God, I hope he stays down, because in those days, when you're young, that age, a fight, if you like, if you got pushed to the ground, if you didn't jump up and start swinging punches, that was it. You got pushed over, you lost a bit of face. It's not like nowadays when you read about these kids stamping on your head, and if you go on the ground, everyone jumps in and kicks the crap out of you. It wasn't like that. You went on the ground, that could be the end of a fight if it wasn't too serious. Well, we mate kind of stayed laying on the ground, which I was pretty pleased about. And then the girl jumped in. The girl was like, come on, they're just kids, come on, leave them alone, come on. And thankfully they backed off, and it was like, well, we'll be watching you in future, Fred, you know. I said, well, you know I'm on there, you know it's, yeah, well, okay, we know it's not you, but, you know, if you let these blokes back on here, we'll come back round and we'll give you a slap, a real hard slap. And I was like, well, no. And when you think about it now, I mean, God, these kids were like 18, 19 in their mum's cars and their nan's cars, you know, threatening 15, 16, we'll give you a hard slap. But at the time, it was serious, and yeah, I was crapping myself, I really was. Anyway, they all kind of like got back in their cars, and they did their best wheel spins possible. In a Fiesta and a Mini City, they screeched off down the road, and well, we all sort of blew a sigh of relief, and yeah. And then afterwards, you know, we started laughing and joking, but my mates didn't want to go back in and finish their coffee. They decided they'd had enough, and I'd had enough. We all went our separate ways, and I thought, well, that was the last of it. I thought that was a bit of a lucky escape, really. Thank God that girl was there. It didn't get too messy, and yeah, I wasn't about to let my mates use the radio again. And I thought, yeah, that's it. That's the last of it. But it wasn't. And a few nights later, I wasn't on the radio at the time, and we were all basically, I think we was having dinner, and we had a big dog. We had a big sort of house dog, and he was really good. He really didn't like people coming anywhere near at the back of the house, and it was all dark and that. And suddenly the dog went absolutely bloody crazy. You know, really barking, going up at the door. So we let him out, and he went to the back gate, and really having a go, really sort of barking. My dad looked out and said, I think someone was up the back of the drive. So of course we put all the lights on, we went out there, and we checked the garage and the cars and everything, and everything was fine. But it just, I don't know, it just sort of didn't seem right. And I sort of checked, because my coaxial cable, my air antenna when I first started was mounted on the garage in the back garden, so it wasn't up particularly high, and I didn't get out particularly well. But the coax would drape across and go up to my bedroom window on the first floor. And I just happened to sort of check the coax, and I found a pin. Someone had come along, which I think it would have been these CB police guys, and they'd, instead of cutting my cable, they'd stuck a pin through the outer sleeve of the RG58, trying to hit the centre pin. And the idea was that if you then keyed up, you would get a direct short, and it would blow the finals on your radio. I mean, I had an SWR meter, so chances are I would have seen that the SWR meter was end stopping, and I would have realised something was wrong. But that was the idea. It was sort of a mean thing to do. It was to sort of try and get you to blow up your rig. So after that, I was allowed to put my antenna in the loft. So it worked out for me better, because I used to get out a little bit better up in the loft. And the CB police, well, they started to get a bad reputation. They were just getting too threatening, coming on the side and sort of going round and banging on people's windows and stuff. And in the end, I think something must have happened. I don't know, but obviously they probably picked on the wrong people. And when they turned up, they probably found they were bigger guys than them, and it all very suddenly sort of stopped. But I just sitting there thinking, the CB, the self sort of enforced. The self-enforced vigilante CB police, they were good for a while. They started out with the best intentions, but yeah, they just got a little bit too big for their boots, and one of those things. But as I say, CB, it all happened, it was all over. We thought that was going to last forever, didn't we, on the old FM. It's a shame we never got AM. We always wanted AM, and as I say, we've got it now, of course, but we got FM, and just couldn't get out as far on FM, you know, just never really got any skip on FM. We always wanted, if we'd have had AM and sideband back in those days, there would have been more channels. We'd have had a lot more channels. Everyone would have been spread out a little bit more, and we would have been, I think, been a lot better like it is now. So there you go. Just a little chat. The CB police. There's still no one on the 19, unfortunately. And yeah, that's it. Other stuff, I've just been mucking about with the data decoding program, which I'm still trying to do. That's the what's that called? The WSJTX program, which I know people say it's not real CB, but I still want to try and decode it. I'm a bit stuck on that at the moment as I'm making this video, but hopefully we'll get somewhere with that. Right, I'm waffling on. A big thank you for tuning in to Fred in the Shed 2. I know we don't get a lot of people on here, so I do appreciate it. Please, please, please stay safe. We've still got a lot of COVID out there at the moment. And yeah, I will catch you all on the next one. Cheers then.